Hello and welcome back. Did you have a good lunch? Wonderful. So now you are excited for something more. We've had a very womanly morning, but now we will do something else. We will dig into the male brain. I make no guarantees how this afternoon will work out, but I think it will be great. We are backing them up. We will have a talk show. So I will ask Joakim and Fredrik to come here and they will have an interesting talk. Welcome.
All right. Vi får se om det här är en djupdykning som går ganska fort.
All right. We'll see if this will go fast or this is this place when you feel very alone. We against the world. Hello, my name is Joakim. I'm most known for being married to Maria Lundqvist, and this is Fredrik, who is the leader of our men's work here. Everything is his fault, and I'm also a little brother to him. And this we will call her questions about him. So this is what we will talk about. You need to ask correctly. It's not about a person named Hans. It's his. Our work with the men here is not called Hans. Yeah, it's like in Swedish, the name for his Hans is also a name. But yeah, now this is, we have mixed some questions here. The most interesting deep questions. So we will start with one of them as an icebreaker. This is a question that men ask forever, that they never got a really good answer to, and that is, why do women go to the toilet in a group? It's top 3 of the deep existential questions. We have not been able to give a good question, and before we went here, I needed to go to the bathroom and I asked Fredrik if he wanted to come with me, and he didn't want to do that. And it felt very weird to even ask, but you are doing this all the time. You are walking like this tribe. Maria, can you come and answer this? Just tell us what is behind this. I can explain this. Yes, absolutely. We are community people, but the first we are multitasking. We are never doing just one thing. If we're going to the bathroom, then we can have time to talk about this. We can solve the problems of the world. We can have time for ourselves. We can put on makeup and get fresh. And then we did like 5 to 10 things while you did one. Sorry, guys. Thank you very much for that. Thank you. That's probably also the reason why it's 50 meters of a line to the women's bathroom, while it's not to the men's. Yeah, now we got a lot more wisdom already, but now we will go into this about her questions about him. What we try to do is to catch real questions that she is asking about him, and we will try to at least give a few answers to this. So we have one question here. What do I need to think about as a single mother raising boys? Do you want to start there? You have a son and 2 daughters. I started to think a lot about before becoming a father, and I've talked about why I'm so passionate about being working with this, and it was because I was really scared about having a son. I was thinking, oh, what should I do if it's a boy? it would have been easier if it would have been a girl, I thought. I tried to analyze myself. Why am I so afraid of this? And at last I was like, I'm afraid of this because then it would be my responsibility to make him a man. And then you ask the question back to yourself, how much of a man am I? Because you took the responsibility seriously. And it was a boy the first time, and he's the best guy ever. And then I also have 2 girls, but I realized they did need different things from me, the girls and the boy. And our way of raising them, my and my wife's, is different, because I know what he will meet when he can't get to his teenage years, and I know what does he need to know about relationships. What do I need to think about? The answer to the question. The culture tells us there is no difference between men and women, so it doesn't matter if it's just one man, a single man or a single woman, or whatever the combination is, as long as there's love. And there is a point that kids need love, but boys need men, because boys need to become men. And one thing that I also usually say is that girls, my very thin analysis is that girls become women automatically. It just happens. A girl grows up and then all of a sudden she's maturing and she's a woman. It's a pretty simple process. It's an easier process than for a boy to become a man, because a boy needs to become a man, actively become. Because if a boy doesn't become a man, then he will be a grown-up teenager. Some of you are married to those people. So the point of the whole boys need men to become men, and then if you don't have a man, if you're a single mother, what do? Then we have a responsibility in the church, of course, because in the church there are both men and women, fathers and mothers. That's why we have a men's work also. It's one of the main points. We need to create environments where all boys can have male people to look up to. If they don't have a father to look up to, then we can send someone who can take this place and be someone to look up to for these boys. And what our responsibility as a church is to make sure that this is. So men need to feel a responsibility beyond their own family. They need. I'm not just a man. I'm someone to look up to for other people also. So we're working on this to create that. To have strong men who can take father roles. How can men be so crazy about soccer? We are the wrong people to answer this. I think there are not two people less interested in sports. But a few years ago I heard Levi, Fredrik's son, he was at home and he was like 5 or 6 years at the time, and the word sport came and came up, and he asked, "Daddy, what is sports?" And I think that was a symptom of the interest, the level of interest in the home. We prioritize things differently. Some people are thinking about eternity instead, and theology and deep truths, and other people know about golf but there is something in this question. How is it that we who are maybe not always so emotionally invested in things all of a sudden have this forum where we go bananas? Except for the two of us, but everyone else. Why? Why is it like that? Now you also need to answer this hard question. I imagine it has something to do with that men needs to have this a place where they can just be a bit crazy, and an arena where it doesn't really matter that much, but where you can just emotionally break free. Now we know, though this, we are all in 90 minutes. We paint our faces blue and yellow, and we wear weird things and just go crazy. That sounds really nice. Maybe we missed something here. I actually think that there is behind this question. Maybe there's a deeper question. I don't know. Maybe the original question is, how can he be so all in for on a soccer game, but not when we are sitting at the dinner table and talking to each other? Why is it such an intense interest there, but there is not in more important areas, and that we don't know.
Men, vi män är också ganska komplexa nu.
We men are also pretty complex when it comes down to it. Very complex. But let him have this forum. Let him have it where he can scream and get it off of him. And then after a while, maybe the enthusiasm that can exist in those forums can also break down some ice and take away some distance in other areas. The point maybe is that in relationships you can be like, oh, I don't understand why this other person needs this thing, but I support him in it. Paint yourself in your face, do this thing, go for it. I will just look some other place for 90 minutes. It's good for him. Yeah, let him do it. Very weird, but it's good for him. Now we actually came to a question that has some touching points with this soccer question. How do I get my husband to start talking to me when he is quiet and normally is not opening up and talking about feelings? This is a very we get this question very much how on our men's meetings where they are asking, how do I get my woman to not do this? It was just fine at work. This is so important, ladies. When you ask how was it at the work, when we say good and nothing more, it's not that we don't like your question. It's just a consequence that we are very logical and simple as individuals. We are just answering your question good, and then check on that, and then we are going somewhere else. But then follow-up questions can be very good. There we have a key. Men need to talk. It's not that they don't need to talk. Men really need to talk a lot more than what they actually do. Absolutely, more than most do. But one way of looking at it is that it seems, now I'm talking about how you are, but it seems that women have at least like this highway with all these lots of lanes between the heart and the head. Feelings and facts are just flowing, and it just comes out through the mouth. And then I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, I understand this, but how does that feel? Oh, how does it feel? Well, then I need to work down and build this highway every time. And that is really needed. It's just a little bit hard sometimes, but it's needed. You have the privilege of having that all the time, very connected. And for a guy to have this feeling, how does it feel? It can be like, yeah, I want to dig deep into how it feels, but maybe I need to sleep on a while first. I heard what you said. Now I need, in my own I need to think about it for 1 or 2 hours and take a walk and eat something. And then now I've come to this conclusion that I feel like this because this is actually the issue. And then you can come to that conclusion. But if you're talking like communication techniques, follow-up questions are very good. Why and why actually? Those are good questions. If I'm saying I'm really tired, if I'm saying that. But why are you tired? Oh, it was a lot of work. How did that feel? That it felt hard. We have so many deadlines. Are there some new yeah, and then we have this boss who is always, yeah, it's a hard relationship. It's hard to work with this. But don't do like this. We're guessing now. If it would have been 2 girls, it would maybe have been, the question would have come and the answer would have just come out automatically. But work with the guys a little bit, massage them, help them out with follow-up questions to see what it is. Build the connections. Exactly. Generally, we can say one thing. That is always a no-no, and you need to know this, and you need to take it seriously, because here you sometimes miss something, and that is whatever the problem is with him, whatever you wish that he had that he doesn't have, don't compare him with someone else. It's the worst thing. It's among the worst things you could ever do to your husband, comparing him with someone else. Even Ernst is an attack against men generally. Ernst is the worst thing that happened to us. He's a traitor. Why can't you be more like Ernst? We are sorry for your international guests who don't know who Ernst is, but you should be happy about this. That you don't have to endure Ernst in Ukraine and all these people. He feels the earth alive, and he builds a lamp, and he's a weird individual. And then to get to here, because the problem is this, and we know that this is wrong, but this is how it works. This is her questions, and we need to try to answer them. If a man hears his wife compare him with another man in a way that makes her husband seem to be the bad in the equation, let us say like this. He promised to put up a shelf in the hallways for 3.5 years ago. He put up some parts of it 2 years ago, but the last piece is still not there. And you remind him, and he's saying, I will do it, I will do it, I will do it. But if you say then, oh no, in the other street, he is good at this, maybe you should talk to Arne. Then you don't mean anything bad with it. You're just trying to get it done. But what he's hearing is, I would much rather be married to Arne on the other street. He's a better man than you, and you are not nice in comparison with Arne. That's not what you're saying, but that's what we're hearing. So however you're trying to change him, don't use comparisons, because it will never come something good from comparison.
Jag tycker vi säger bra saker här.
I think we're saying good things here. His question. How can a woman need so many different purses? What do you have in them? Is it the same thing that goes from one bag to another? Why do you need so many? Maybe we can need one bag, but a few years ago that was a trend about man bags, but they died out really fast. We tried to do it, but it didn't work. This fits in the pocket, but this about many different purses. I would like to ask you, Therese, about this. Can you just give me a fast answer to this? Why purses? Why so many? I have one. So maybe someone else should answer this. I think it's effective with one until it breaks, and then I buy a new one in H&M. Ruth Nordström, do you have several purses? Your wife maybe has something and some. I have one way and my sister has something else. So amazing when sisters when we but back to purses. I said a few years ago Joakim built me a place that was just for my purses. I built it like Ernst. Like Ernst. Sometimes I go into it and I feel the life in my fingers. If you've one time been a mommy, you will always be there. I always have at least 3 bags. I have the small bag, I have my phone, my keys, and maybe something else that I've forgotten now that I don't want to lose. I need to always have this. You will always see it with the small bag because I lay things aside. And then I have my purse, the normal purse. You have your pens, if you need to write something, you have your makeup. Oh, you have painkillers, you have wipers, you have a brush. And always you can help people. If you've been a mommy, you can, there is no trip. I also always have like all these different pills. I have all kinds of things for the tummy, for the head, band-aids. I think it's a mommy syndrome that I need to fix all the problems. And then I have this third bag, different shoes, different clothes. So I have 3 bags every day. But otherwise, why we have so many bags is probably because we are so aesthetic people. Our outfits needs to match. So I think it's mostly that we want to look nice. If you put everything on and you have the wrong purse, it destroys everything, right? Destroys the whole outfit. It's just like the wrong shoes. There you have it. Okay. Thank you for this analysis. When it's about Hans' questions, we have understood that they go to the bathroom together because they are multitasking, and they have purses because they are multitasking and they want to look nice. On the other side, we are very effective, so that's good. Me and my husband has a hard time praying together. What can we do? Should I start or you start? I can start by saying that this question is oftentimes asked in our gatherings, a prayer life in the family, but start. I would say like this, like a tip, advice. The best thing is maybe not to start with trying to have one half hour or 1 hour of prayer, but to start to just lean more against prayer in everyday life. Me and Maria, if we're talking about something and then it comes up a need in our talk, we are maybe talking about a hard thing that we're going through, or some friends who have a hard time, or some kind of need. And that can come up in conversations all the time. There's always things that need changing to the better. And then we start to connect prayer there and then. We are standing in the kitchen talking about something while cooking food. I cook food, she is watching. And then something comes up in our conversation, and then we're saying, oh, now we will pray for this. And then we pray there and then and there. Or when we are in the car talking about normal things, and then we come up with this, that maybe it's like that we come up with something we are happy about that we want to thank God for, or a challenge, a need that we are in front of. Pray then and there. That's the best advice I can give in a couple's relationship. Don't start to have this special prayer time, but start the prayer time by connecting it with the everyday life things. then you don't need this bad conscience when you can't do it. And then it's also this about having this prayer life together. It's maybe not always the best thing always to always pray together as a group, because we are different as people. We're different men and women. We're different in our relationship with the Lord. It's not about that some people love Him more than others, but our way of expressing it is different. And I really believe that one of the biggest lies in modern ages is that men and women are not different. We are different, but we are equally valuable. And within man and within woman, there is a big variety. And sometimes we're not talking about this enough, about the variety, but it's very important, and it has to do with our life with God also. Sometimes we try with like really push this praying together, and it doesn't feel natural for him or for her. And you see, that's the only alternative. You and me together for half an hour should live our lives with the Lord. I believe that maybe it could be better to have your own time and express it in the way that is natural for you, but then you also have this ongoing prayer life, and you can pray together sometimes. That's my advice. And explore God from the other person's relationship with God. Ask them, how is it for you? What are you thinking about? How is your relationship with Jesus? Because it can be different. It's really interesting to hear the questions from the men. What am I supposed to do? What is expected of me as a Christian? How am I supposed to be? It's very solution orientated. What does God want me to do? And then you hear other things. Wives have different questions about Jesus, and then we can be like, oh, I never thought about this, and it could be a really nice talks like that, and we can grow in our relationship with Jesus like this. The spiritual talk is just as important as a prayer life together. When you're sharing about the process you're going through with the Lord, Bible verses or experiences or prayer experiences or the preaching on Sunday in church. Is a woman really so important for a man like it seems? Denies. This is an area where men and women are more alike than different, but we are visually different. There is it's good to know that men are very visual, and women are more about how it feels and the environment. And there we are very different. Men are a lot interested, attracted by what they see, and women by what they hear. But this is very important to know, and this is connected here to what young men are exposed to with all these screens and porn and stuff. And the man's visual orientation is very it's hard for him in this age, because it's a system that can be abused. I read a book that was written in the year 300. It was called The Clean Heart, and it was there about how the man had a need to be control in his for his thoughts and his eyes, and how you need to stand in the spirit and fight against it. If they had those kind of problems at year 300, then we definitely need to fight against it today. But then a part of this answer is the woman, the body of the woman, as important to the man as it seems? In one way, it isn't. Even though men are visually orientated, it is something that the world is pointing a man to. Men are pushed into a direction that is saying bodies in themselves are so important, but the truth is that it's the entire thing that is important. It's everything from personality to how your soul and your body and your mind, everything, how it's working together. But then this world is pointing us very much towards one direction, and that has to do with the body. It's the entire thing, the whole thing that is building a real relationship instead of just the body. But this is something, it's the cross to carry for the husband, to be exposed to this multi-million-dollar industry that is really focused on taking young men and destroying them, and it's terrible. But this can also be what will make young men grow. You can do it, because a man, if it's something a man needs, it's something heavy to lift. A man grows through taking responsibility and lifting something and accomplishing something. And what destroys a man more than anything is to not be needed, to not be able to do anything. And because of this, we need to say, you can do it. You can't walk around with these things. No, build up yourself from the inside out. Grow with challenges. Grow up with God, because then we can build up this strong young man. This is a cross to carry, but also a way to grow spiritually. Now we have his question. This about not being able to decide what to eat. What is the point of that? Maria, I come to think of you, honey. Can't you come and tell us? The funny thing about my wife is, I just need to introduce this. The funny thing about my wife is, in everything important and everything that matters, this woman is one of the most sharp persons I know. I listen to her. She sees things I don't see. She has wisdom about things I don't have wisdom in. When it comes to all the big things, important things, then she's really sharp, just bam. But when it comes to these things that don't really matter, except for this coming hour, then something happens. Can you tell me about this, Maria? I'm so ashamed by this. Is there anyone else who feels like this? When you should choose like something to eat, oh no, the rest of you, you're just like, you know exactly what you like. Nice for you. Her husband is like that. Okay, maybe it's a personality type then. But I confess my sins now when I'm here. You know exactly, this is what I want to have and you want to order it. But every time we should order something from a menu, I am the one sitting and thinking, not because I don't know what I want, but that is kind of nice. And that is also nice, but that third thing is also nice. You want a little bit of everything. And sometimes I say like this, if you order that and I order this, can I have a piece of that? Do you know what he says then? No. Anyone husband who says yes? Now I have the microphone. I just needed to ask, why am I not allowed to taste your food? And then I get a little bit of everything. But then he sees his meal, the size of the meal, and he has this one goal to eat this whole thing. And if I take some of it, then he doesn't get all that he counted on. This is my food and this is what I should eat and this I will win. And now you are eating this. If I take some shrimps, it is wrong, so I cannot do this. But exactly like this, big things, important things, I know exactly what I think about. But these small things, not so important things, oftentimes it's so embarrassing. But okay, what do you think I want to eat today? And then I've learned to always have an opinion, because the worst thing you can do as a man, now we have none of them, but the worst thing as a man you can do is, what do you think? Or when you have two outfits, the worst thing you can say is, you fit in everything, because that says to you that he doesn't care very much. So we have learned now we just need an opinion, to have an opinion. But that can also has to do with that you're the one cooking the food, so you're always deciding. But the worst thing was last year's conference, because then I was sitting like this. Which color should I have on my nails? Blue or black? Both are nice. Really unimportant thing. Then he had a nap, and I had to wake him up. Honey, wake up. He was like, what? Should I have black or blue nail polish? Now you heard this embarrassing thing. I love you. The most funny thing is that we're in a restaurant and we have this great menu, big menu. The first thing Maria is always asking is, what are you gonna have? And I'm thinking, it doesn't matter. It won't help you in your decision. Now I will say something else also. If I say, which one do you think I should have? Should I have this meal or this meal? And you say something, this one, and that one is wrong. Then I chose the other one. So you're just someone to ask for ideas. You're not the one in decision. But I don't know if it's just in our relationship, but a lot of things work like that. I don't want too many decisions, and then I just decide something, and I don't want to know the other decisions. Maria, she goes out the day before, and then she finds 3 different alternatives, and then we go together the next day. And then I take the first one. And then I don't want to know about all the other alternatives, because now I bought my shoes, now I bought my pants, and I don't want all the different potential. Task was to buy shoes, and the shoes are bought. Now we shall go on and save the world. Something like that.
Yes. Då ska vi se. Här har vi en speciell fråga.
Here we have a special question. A little bit sensitive also for many. I'd hoped to found someone to marry at this point, but I have not done it. What should I do? I think there are many different answers to this question and important perspectives to talk about. But the most important thing is maybe to always come down to this, that our deepest identity is not in that we are married to someone. Our deepest identity is that we are in Christ. We are children of God. God's children, God's daughters and sons. And in Him we have the source of love and the source of our identity. I know that this can sound really easy to sit here and say, but I don't want to say it in a shallow or simple way. I've talked to many people who are in a hard situation and have this sorrow in this area. But I believe also that we who are married, also the way we are building church, need to remember this. We can actually make it worse by saying, oh yeah, before I met Maria I was a half person, or something like that, or using ways of expressions that before we were married life was like a half life. And it's important to say that that is not the case. It's not true. Of course, if you are happily married, you can look at what you have now in a contrast to what you had before. And you can make this comparison. and express like that. But the truth is, we are not always reading and preaching about these things, but there are so many words saying that to be single is in no way a half-life or a lesser valuable life. Paul is even saying, I wish everyone would be like me. And what he's saying, what he's talking about is that he is single. He found a satisfaction in this being like that he could live his life to the most. And this is not a place to just go by days that are. Both Paul and Jesus were singles actually, and they were great people. There's also something in it that is really important to think about, and that is that society and church doesn't need husbands. They need fathers and mothers, and that you can be, should you be, regardless if you are married or single. Yes, because absolutely, it's so important to think about. We look at this generation growing up and we are feeling we need fathers, men who are willing to be people to look up to. Take hold of me and we will build up each other together and walk together. And the young girls needing mothers, and that you can be and should we be, regardless if we are married or not. So that thing fill that need. Absolutely, absolutely. And I think that is also what it's about when it says that the ones without children should have many children. You can look at it as a concrete promise, but it's also about that all of us are called to take a bigger responsibility for the next generation than just have responsibility for our physical sons and daughters. There is a need for fathers and mothers and an entire generation that are deciding to connect with the generation coming after us. Absolutely. One more question in our list. We will answer this and then we will run for our lives. Is the man's role as a head in the family something cultural for the New Testament, or how should we think about this? Thank you for coming. Now we will leave. No. This is a sensitive issue. This is a popular question also in my gatherings, because men getting married and they are wondering, what am I supposed to do now in this role? What am I supposed to do? And I can imagine it comes up here also. How should we relate to this? I'm thinking like this. If you look at the relationship between a man and a woman who choose to live together, God always has a thought about everything He does and how He constructs things. And when He puts a man and a woman together, I believe He looks at the woman and thinking, oh, the woman is very invested in this relationship. She's there for the long run. Woman and children and the pregnancies and things. A woman invests a lot of things in a couple's relationship, and she has a lot of risks in it. She won't leave. In that context, I think God is looking at the man and saying, you together here, now you will belong to each other and love each other, and I hold you responsible. He's looking at the husband, you report to me, because if this goes wrong, you and me will have a talk about it. That's how I look at it. That God gives the man this role because the man needs responsibility. He needs to carry a burden to grow. And without a clear role of responsibility from God's side, it wouldn't work as well. I would say like this: a key in this reasoning, in this question, is authority and being the head is never about power, it's about responsibility. It's not about who gets to decide. It's not about, oh, sit down, I'm the one in church. No, it's about whose fault is it if it's not working. If we look at it, and it's important to look at it like that. As soon as I hear about men who are saying, "Oh yeah, I'm the head in the church, in the family, in regards to my wife," then I see a man who is very unsure about himself and who has come very far from where he's supposed to be. When it says that we should respect each other, when it says the woman should, if you say to a wife, we should focus on what we are supposed to do, and men are called to love their wives as God loved the church. But focus on love, 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 just as giving and unselfish as Jesus loves the church. And if the man does that, then I think it will be order. And this responsibility and this title is a good thing to use against husbands. Here you have your clothes, grow into them. This is what is expected from you. Once again, this responsibility, God has this responsibility and He wants you to take it, and He wants you to grow so that you can take it. You need to be a person who can carry this responsibility. That's how I look at it, and that's something we're also talking about in the men's work. Maybe the biggest theme, to be worthy of the responsibility to take on this role. That went well. We hope that with this session, that some questions maybe have been taken care of. I thank you for the privilege of lending your questions. Now we will leave and run for our lives.